Alright, so I found this old box of tapes, and since we're all sitting around doing absolutely nothing, I thought I'd go through them with you if you've got nothing else to do. Really hit the bottom of the barrel now. So yeah, when I was a teenager, me and a few other mates used to smoke these funny left-handed cigarettes you could get at the time. And I used to hide away in my room and kind of lock the door and be like a mad scientist, making what I called the buzz tapes. And I'd hand these buzz tapes out to my friends who would smoke these funny left-handed cigarettes. And so, yeah, recently I've found these again. And so I haven't gone through these, so I don't know what songs these are. I mean, I can kind of remember a bit from looking at the top here, but I haven't unpacked it. So, and I found these two old things too. So the buzz tape started back in the day on just a cassette stereo that I got off my old man, and he got off his dad. And so I'd record these things, and if I wanted any more than one track on it, so in other words, I'd put a microphone, record into the stereo that had a tape player. If I wanted to make, say, like with Drowning in the Ice, I did like 3 guitar tracks. What I'd have to do, I had this ghetto blaster set up over here, so pretend this other thing's the ghetto blaster. I'd put a cassette in there, and I'd record into the microphone, so it would pick up whatever I recorded. And then I'd put that cassette in this one, and put a blank one in there. And I'd play back what's on this, and then this would record, picking up this sound. So then I'd have 2 tracks on this tape. And then I'd swap them over again. So this original one back in there, and then I'd have my 2 track played back, and I'd record my 3rd guitar on this part while these 2 tracks played. So that was a long way of going around things. One year, I got very, very fortunate to get this from my parents, and this is a 4-track machine. So the difference in this for people who don't do too much music is you can record on these, and you can adjust the volume. Okay, so instead of having everything recorded like I did, where you have to kind of get the volume right in its own way, you can record on this and record another thing on here, play them both back, and then adjust their volumes separately. So it's quite cool. And you can do 4 tracks. Okay, this is called a 4-track tape machine, basically, or recorder, whatever. But you can record more onto one, like the Beatles. Oh, I don't want to get into the Beatles, but they famously did it with Sgt. Pepper's. They bounced onto a different, more tracks onto one track. So what that means is you record, and then you can bounce it all onto here. So you've got all the different tracks you recorded on one track, but then the thing is they adjust with the one volume too. So there's ways of getting that right, but anyway, long story short, you could record basically 4 tracks like this. And so that was really cool. Could record a guitar track or something really random. So again, I started making these kind of weird psychedelic things and just like locking myself away. It was like I was in a submarine, to be honest, because there were no, like, the curtains were shut, the door was shut, the outside world wasn't there, and I'd just get into the zone and record these kind of weird psychedelic mixes. This is a thing from later I just found that I got, which was a DJ drum machine. So it had psychedelic sounds on it, kind of old school. You know, you could have the crash and the cymbals of drums and things, but also things like had like an air sound. So if you adjusted this, it would kind of give a like called a phaser, like, you know, a different. Anyway, I won't get into it. I thought I was going to, but it's getting on a bit long. So yeah, but this is really cool. I might show you guys a bit more of that later. So these are the tapes that I used to record and make little songs on, and I'd label them if it was a 4-track, like if it only played on this thing, then I'd just put the 4 on it, and then other ones I think were N for normal, which just meant you can play it in a normal cassette tape player. And the buzz tape started originally with me listening to stuff like Tool, and just there's that thing on Anima where it goes real fucking high, and I'd use the skip button on this player to kind of keep it going for ages, and it was kind of like sampling stuff, but in my way, and put little weird introductions of things on that, and then I started making my own music with it, and yeah, record them on a cassette. So they were really raw at the start. These are all just like random songs, but then eventually I kind of polished them up into tracks, and then that would become the actual Buzz Tapes compilation I released later, which was just like a free download thing, you know. The cover of the Buzz Tapes too, if you look on Spotify, you can see what my Buzz Tapes are. I came home from a bender one day. I was still at school, and a couple of the friends, did homemade dreadies in my hair and that, and Mum said, "Oh, you look shocking, rah rah. You'll never, you'll look back and hate this, da da da." And so I ended up using the other photo she took for the cover of the Buzz Tapes, which I thought was a bit of a laugh. Anyway, so yeah, let's have a look. Here's a random. Credits have rolled. That one's about dying. Another happy one. Credits have rolled. I've finished my song. Finished the masterpiece the world never heard. I never understood the words to my song. Something terrible like that. Never was right, never was wrong. White Rabbit, that would be Jefferson Airplane. When I Die. I recorded that with Martin and Lee from Just One Fix a few years later. But I wrote that when I was 15. I had a friend of Princeton chorus amp. It's a heavier track if you look on YouTube. Quicksand Blues, about the feeling like you're sinking through the floor. Slip Away, that's on the actual Buzz Tapes. That's a song that I wrote when I was really young. I was about 14, and some interesting lyrics in that one, but I'd play that one at school. We called it the Seagull Song because we used to joke that every time I started playing it, the seagulls started flying around. We were hanging on the field at school there. And then Voodoo Child, yeah, I don't know what, that would have just been jamming. So there's like random, all of these will just have scraps on them, you know, little bits. OSAS, I've never said what that stands for, but it's a little bit rude. But yeah, used to go on a Friday night from school, and I'd bus into Auckland City and play at a place called the Temple on Queen Street. And but unfortunately, at that time, I think, someone's just listening out there. At that time, I'd do half a song and kind of, yeah, all sorts of stuff. I won't get into it, but anyway, good times and bad times. So what's this one on here? Weird guitar, Zoom over the rainbow into the sky. Oh, that's a song called High. Okay, so I've got a recording called Live at Studio when we played at the studio on K Road. And there was a song called High, which I only ever played live there, but it was originally on a cassette demo that I used to do. Spiders, cloudy day, all the colours gone away, turn to grey. Spiders come down, spiders see the sound when the sky falls down. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Back from the Dead, won't get into that again, but yeah, thinking you're dead when you're alive is not very pleasant. Slowly, that's OSAS, something, something, and something. And then, that was when I first got a bass guitar, scored it for $150 from the rock shop. He says, I can't give you a deal, but I'll give you a free case. I thought, well, that's kind of a deal. So yeah, I used to play that at the Temple. Space TV was about paranoia. That was around the time there used to be a program on New Zealand television for music called Space TV. And it was, yeah, living in space on Space TV, and everybody has come to see, I'm an alien, I'm a human being living in space on Space TV, living in space on stars and speed, and everybody wants a piece. 24/7 reality TV when you're living in space on Space TV. This one here is more like the finished Buzz Tapes, and I won't go through every track here, but this kind of stuff, like if you're a musician, sometimes it's not your main tracks that you go into a studio, it's like the weird stuff you do that you like. I know, no one will ever listen to this crap. It's weird music, it's not like if you want to listen to something more polished. I've got a track called Make It Go Away, or something like, even Recovery Position, or 15 Shots of Whiskey, or Little Green Dragon. But this is weird stuff, but I like that. It's like when you're just creating, you're putting weird sounds together and just getting experimental with the music. Like Pack Your Soul Away, I made on it. I had this crappy old guitar with old rusty strings, but I liked it for that sound. So I got a bottleneck slide and just played some slide guitar with it and used this mic that didn't work. Well, it worked, but it was really distorted. So I used that for the singing over the top, and I just liked the combination of the rusty old guitar strings and the distorted vocals. Big Brother was, around the time Big Brother, the television show, was on, and I thought, man, it was just the first contestant was in there, and he was kind of a bit insane. So yeah, it's kind of about that and about thinking people are watching you. But yeah, there's kind of all sorts of stuff on here. Yeah, that's kind of more what the buzz tapes look like there. Oriental DJ was a bit later actually. That was using this, and it had kind of an Oriental sound, but using electronic drums and stuff like that. Electric cellos is just two guitars I played, put them backwards, and it sounded like cellos. You know, to sound like cellos. So using backwards guitar, it sounds almost like you're using feedback. And then So Paranoid It's Funny was about the feeling where you go beyond paranoid and you just start, you're comfortable and you're just laughing at everything. It's kind of like a funny place to be in. But I used a laughing box. I had this laughing bag that I got from my dad when I was young, and it had you press it and it starts laughing. So I took the machine thing out and recorded it while the music was going. So it had this insane laugh to it. Cow After Spots is a funny one. Me and a couple of mates, he set up this little place called The Cave, and we used to listen to things like Fear Factory and Enigma. Well, I made them listen to Enigma, but I think that was one of the reasons they would have thought I was a real weirdo. But anyway, I put one of my early buzz tapes. We all had these left-handed cigarettes that they sold at the time. And I was sitting around listening to it, and I put the buzz tapes on, and his mum came down and said, "It sounds like a cow." So it's called A Cow After Spots, but anyway. If you're still with me, I congratulate you. So Surreal, that was around the same time as Cars Coming Out of the TV. That was written after a mushroom bender looking at a rally. I'm Just a Fish That Looks a Different is about just feeling like we're all sentient beings. I probably said that wrong. So, thinking we're just animals with different skin, really. Which isn't that crazy. I mean, if you're worried about your image, it might be crazy, but if you think about it, it's not too far off. And that was using an a cappella idea, where they used to have one side of the room in primary school that get you to sing something, and then the other side of the room would start halfway through and have this cool overlapping sound. So I used that, and we actually played that at the studio as well, with Tim Wenslick and Mark Weston. Chant mantras, chanting. Be My Night, it's just like an 80s sex song. So it's like, come into my world, be my night, blah, blah, blah. Just with the drum machine. And then kind of like, I guess you could call that Billy Idol from Papatoe, I don't know. Not Used to Gold, yeah, that's just when people aren't used to being complimented or good treatment, really. Funky Skunky, a bit of bass guitar going on there. Yeah, don't have to explain all of these. Try Not to Think, that's my Bob Dylan song. 3-day bender, looking at the TV, couldn't breathe by the end of it. And I thought I sounded like Bob Dylan, so I just wrote this kind of thing, Try Not to Think. And it's kind of, you add words each time, so it's Try Not to Think, it works on its own. And then Too Much is the next line, and that works either, Try Not to Think too much about death. So it kind of adds this bit each time it goes. But yeah. Anyway, thought this would be a laugh and something for you to see, but Tar Track, Big Brother Slide Acoustic over here, Fast Runs, yeah. So heaps of, Planet, cool. The Robin Hood soundtrack, I don't know if you guys remember that from when you were kids or younger. Robin, the Hooded Man. 80s. Silver Pearl, wonder what that one's about. Little Green Dragon, Devil Deal, yeah, I won't get into that either. Thinking You Sold Your Soul is not very pleasant. Haunted House, Grasshoppers, so this will, if you haven't thought I'm a bit of a strange person by the end of this. So what I used to do is try and record anything. Basically making music is just, it's layering sound, and it's like good cooking. So a danger that musicians can make when they're starting is they get to be able to play a few things or whatever. They start trying to put everything everywhere, like too much. They're colouring it in too much. They're strumming too much guitar. They're doing too much of this. Whereas if you just do a bit of each thing, it's like when I used to when I went over to Italy, right, before I went, the person I went with said, "Oh, you got to try the pizza there." I was like, "Yeah, I don't like pizza that much. I like thick crust." She's like, "No, you got to have it thin." I was like, "No, well, okay, no, whatever. I like thick crust." And pizza's not that good anyway. So we went to Italy, and I'm telling you, like the most beautiful pizza, but they only put a few things on it, but it's just the right amount. And that's how music works. You might have a click on one beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just keep that going. That's a good bass. And then you just bump, bump, bump. So these other is just a couple of things with an instrument, but you're not going to go trying to color in all this stuff. It just sounds like chaos unless you want that. So the point was, keep it really simple and just a little bit on each track, but know how to do it. In saying that, it's really fun to be experimental. So that was when I went outside and literally was recording the cicadas. Now that sounds strange, but you might have heard tracks before that have the sound of nature or the sound of cicadas or the sound of whatever. I mean, music is just layering sound. And the way that you make it, it's layers of sound. And it's just painting with sound to express emotion and connect with experiences. So in that way, if you're going to paint with sound, a little bit of each thing works really well. See, these are songs that I'd want to come back to too, like Goblins. There's a couple of random covers on there. Ziggy Stardust, Comfortably Numb. Twilight Road was out by Beachlands from memory and had quite an interesting experience at about 3 a.m. driving along there. It was kind of like I was driving on a giant head. But anyway. That looks like Tim Wenslick's writing. And so that would have been a tape he would have given me. I would have just recorded on the end of it. I've got Faith No More, probably Manson on the other side. Running from My Mind, as usual. And then, okay, I'll take these out, otherwise we'll be here forever. But yeah, these are heaps of random stuff I'll have to look over later. Mushroom Man, what the hell? Okay. Put that one away. So, Psychedelic Rose. That was one I wrote back at school. See, some of these, like Euphoria and Fantasy, that was stuff going around at the time. It was called Fantasy. If any of you remember that in the 90s. Wish I could chicken pick, but I can't. That was the other lyrics went to that one. Oh, 15 Shots of Whiskey. So that's probably the original demo of 15 Shots of Whiskey on there. That was when I started going a bit less psychedelic and more into just kind of, yeah, whiskey. Tropical Tripping. There was one from the original Buzz tapes. I remember showing Tim Moores that one back in the day. This one's got a bit of a sad story behind it, so I won't go into that at the moment. Random tape. Awesome vocals. Ann Wilson. The Ebo, that's a guitar thing. Sex Pistols. So these are demos too, and of local bands. And this is Mike, Ross, and Rowan, 3 of my mates. And I think, you guys can correct me, but I think I was talking with Rowan and Mike one day and said Ross was a good singer. And then you guys got together, but I might be wrong. I ended up teaching Mike a few lessons on guitar. He is an awesome person, one of the most genuine guys I know. And Rowan played bass with me for years, and I feel in debt to him. It was just, yeah, a really cool experience to have. And Ross, one of my good mates. So, 3 legends there. Stigma, local band. Obsidious. This is my one of my students, Grady's bands, and he went on to play in Fall State and Godzilla Takes New York. He's got a couple of new projects at the moment. El Schlong, really good New Zealand band. Again, if you're still with me through all this, you're awesome. But yeah, probably one of my favourite New Zealand bands. I used to go see them at the Dog's Bollocks before it turned to absolute shit because of the owner. Just One Fix, played many shows with these guys over the years. Awesome people. Don't need to say more. If you're into heavy music, check it out. Random. Kieran Cooper used to be in a band called Cassettes and then did his own thing. He was a really cool dude as well. I haven't heard from him in a few years. But yeah, good music. And check out Cassettes with a K. Really, really good. It's a random sampler. This was around the time I was doing a lot of things with, well, inside different New Zealand music things. So you'd get CDs given to you a lot at shows and stuff. Look, this one. Romantic guitar. Romantic. Jeez. Put that to the side. Joe Cocker, yeah. When I went over to the States, I've never felt so on track as when I kind of hustled my way to the United States to write my book, Use Your Buzz to Play the Guitar. And there was a song that came on, it was called The Letter, Give Me a Ticket for an Aeroplane. Yeah, and then it goes on, and it was just, it was perfect. It came on at the right time, and yeah, it was just a feeling of absolutely being on track. Like, it was really, really cool. Days of the New, that's randomly in there. It takes me right back to 98. Off the Map, Chili's, some of the earlier stuff with Frusciante. Early. Oh yeah, if you haven't checked it out, any of my music, that's an old EP that we did back in the day. Mystical Searching. Shout out to the Axeman for playing that when, you know, other radio. 15 Shots of Whiskey, Little Green Dragon, Say Goodbye, and Recovery Position. Ward 10, another awesome band. Used to play with these guys back in the day with Just One Fix at the Crook quite a lot too. And yeah, you should definitely check them out. Dave sent me a cool track yesterday actually, that was awesome. Tommy Emmanuel, one of the best fingerstyle guitarists in the world. A couple of his ones. The Stooges, okay, I won't go through all of them. Anyway, that's about it. What's that? First Sabbath. Oh, Renee. You gave us that a while back. At a gig. Last thing. What's in this box? I might actually not open this in front of the camera, just in case. But, Rock and Roll Swindle. I still listen to Nevermind the Bollocks more, to be honest. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, so some of the old cassettes in there, too. I won't go through all of them. Number of the Beast. Dub. What's in there? Oh, yeah, no, cool. That's just tapes. Tapes and a set list by the look. Oh, Waiting for a Sunny Day. So that ended up on the Lunar Sea EP, if you check it out. Recorded with my mate Jimmy Holyfield, and it's an acoustic 5-track EP. And then some random stuff on there. Oh, fuck, rhythm track. That's professional sounding. I wonder what that is. Anyway, guys, hope you're all good through the lockdown. Just thought that would be something random to do. Yeah, keep strong. Ignore the bullshit. Keep creative. Peace.